Wisdom article. The article updater.
Top 10 performances in rock music history. It is generally acknowledged that Rocket 88 by Jackie Brenston and his Delta Cats was the first since Forever Rock and Move tune. Nonetheless, many Stone fans are not ready for this, as they feel that that is alright. Mama by Arthur Largeboy Crudup to get the honor of being the first since Forever Rock and Move tune. Different competitors incorporate Great Rockin' Tonight by Wynonie Harris and Saturday Night Fish Fry by Louis Jordan and the Timpe 5. Rock and roll has made considerable progress since those early tunes, and there have been numerous essential Stone minutes throughout the long term. On this rundown are only a modest bunch of individuals who contributed extraordinarily to awesome music and will keep on being recalled in ages to come. Richard Stephen Valenzuela turned into the primary Hispanic hero while he was as yet in secondary school. He was endorsed in 1958 by Del-Fi Records, which was a little record mark claimed by Bob Keane. Richard before long changed his name to Ritchie Valens to be not quite the same as the pack of Richards around then. Valens recorded many hit tunes, the most eminently of which were Donna and La Bamba, and his vocation turned out to be requesting to the point that he exited high school. Valens showed up in the 1959 film Go Johnny Go, in which he performed Oh My Head. The film likewise included Chuck Berry, Jimmy Clanton, and Alan Freed, and was Valens' sole film appearance. Soon after recording, Valens passed on in a plane accident alongside Buddy Holly and the Big Bopper. He was just 17 years of age. While Ritchie Valens was viewed as a pioneer of the Chicano rock development, Chuck Berry was nicknamed the father of rock and roll subsequent to forming beat and blues into the particular sound of exciting music. Despite the fact that Berry had a few spats with the law and spent time in jail, he conquered his pained past to get one of the best Stone specialists ever and was one of the primary performers enlisted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1986. Alongside Elvis Presley, Buddy Holly, Ray Charles, James Brown and more. Berry showed up in the film Jazz on a Summer's Day, which was delivered in 1959. In it he played out the tune Sweet Little 16. This superb presentation motivated Keith Richards to seek after a vocation as a hero, subsequent to considering the To Be as a youngster. Runaway was perhaps the most famous melodies recorded by Charles Wheaton Westover, also called Del Shannon, in 1961. Shannon was well known in the UK and turned into the main American artist to record a cover adaptation of a Beatles tune, From Me to You, which diagrammed in America before the Beatles formed. Shannon ultimately re-recorded Runaway for the NBC show Crime Story and appreciated re-established ubiquity. Sadly, Shannon experienced liquor abuse and gloom, and he ended his own life on February 8, 1990. He was enlisted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1999. Ann and Nancy Wilson of Heart played out an electric adaptation of their melody Barracuda at Cal Jam 2 of Every 1978, and later uncovered that the melody was worked out of the resentment that she and Nancy felt towards Mushroom Records after the Chronicle Mark delivered a phony anecdote about a depraved connection between the two sisters. The tune was named 34th Best Hard Rock Song of All Time by VH1 in 2009 and highlights on a huge number of accumulation collections. Carry On Wayward Son is in a split-second unmistakable due to Supernatural and South Park, but since of the great introduction, particularly when played live. Musical Crew Kansas recorded the melody in 1977 and it was guaranteed gold in 1990. Today the melody is guaranteed fourfold platinum. After delivering 3 effective collections by 1976, Kansas still couldn't seem to think of a tune that would get radio airplay airplay. Also, they urgently required one after all the huge groups at the time got careful about Kansas opening for them as the band was something special. Subsequent to composing 7 tunes, boss lyricist Carrie Livgren acquired a very late thought. When the remainder of the band heard Carry On Wayward Son, they realized they had something unique. It before long turned into the hit they required. In 1978, Chrissie Hynde established the musical crew, The Pretenders. The band was enlisted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 2005 in the wake of creating various hits including Metal in Pocket, Back on the Chain Gang, Don't Get Me Wrong, and the enormously well-known I'll Stand By You. This tune was covered by numerous specialists throughout the long term, and Noel Gallagher broadly stated he wished he'd composed it. I'll Stand By You was composed by Chrissie Hynde and delivered in 1994. The band played out the melody live at Glastonbury that very year. Radiohead likewise played at the Glastonbury Festival in 1997, and their presentation was attributed with assisting with protecting the then thrashing occasion. It had been pouring vigorously for quite a long time, paving the way to the celebration, leaving the grounds where it was to occur wet and sloppy. One of the stages started to sink into a pool of mud, and Neil Young just as Steve Winwood exited the celebration. Things were genuinely looking somber. At that point, Tom York and Friends made that big appearance, and what followed was quite possibly the most significant Stone exhibitions of the 90s. It is difficult to envision the 90s without hearing Dolores O'Riordan over the radio or imagining her crushing it at a live show with the Cranberries. By 2019, the band had sold almost 50 million collections around the world. Deplorably, O'Riordan was discovered dead in a London lodging the prior year, and the excess individuals affirmed that their last collection that should have been delivered in April 2019 would be their last, as they would not like to proceed without her. One of the Cranberries' most famous melodies was delivered in 1993, and despite the fact that different extraordinary covers have been done of Zombie, nothing contrasts to O'Riordan singing it live and her amazing voice. Live delivered Lightning Crashes in September 1994, and despite the fact that it wasn't delivered as a solitary in the US, it was played on the radio so regularly that it topped at number 12 on the Billboard Hot 100 outline in 1995. The melody was committed to a long-lasting companion of the band, 19-year-old Barbara Lewis, who kicked the bucket in the wake of being hit by an alcoholic driver in 1993. Record chiefs told the band that the tune could never turn into a solitary since it was excessively long. In any case, it got perhaps the greatest hit after its introduction at Woodstock '94 and steady airplay on MTV. The band performed it live ordinarily, including at Pinkpop Holland in 1997, which has been hailed as one of their best live exhibitions. Wayne Cochran delivered Last Kiss in 1961, however it wasn't a triumph on the diagrams at that point. The tune was recorded by different craftsmen including J. Forthright Wilson and the Cavaliers, and Wednesday, and turned out to be gigantically well known once recorded by musical gang Pearl Jam. Last Kiss additionally turned into the band's most elevated graphing single in both Canada and the US. The cover was delivered as a solitary in 1999, and the returns went to help the exiles of the Kosovo War. The tune acquired around $10 million in alleviation aid. Eddie Vedder played out the melody live in San Francisco in 2006, while remaining in the group, who were chiming in as loud as possible.